Strap yourself in because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
This is the Humane Roundup podcast.
And now, here's your host.
Welcome to the Humane Roundup podcast, the show that takes you into the demanding yet rewarding lives of animal control, animal service, and humane officers, as well as a behind-the-scenes look at animal shelters. I am your host, Officer Hildy, and I've got the guys with me today.
Hey.
What's up, y'all?
What up, what up? Keep it humane.
Ocho is working, so he's not with us, but the rest of the guys are with me today.
Slacker. Humane in the membrane.
Oh, this is Ocho. This is my impersonation of Ocho. Hey, what's up, guys?
No, you have to be louder.
But you have the new mic now, so.
Yeah. Happy New Year's, guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
New Year.
2020, brother.
Yeah, how have the first 5 days been?
New me.
New you in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you got an Apple Watch, Jody ACO?
Yes, I do, sir. Yes, I do.
We got to get on petition, son.
Let's do it. Let's close this ring, brother. I'm a closer. Are you a closer? Because I'm a closer.
I'm beating Jazzy right now, so wait.
Actually, you know what? Few people find out that I have a few people find out I have an Apple Watch, and people want to compete. I'm gonna bring it on, brother. Let's do it, or sisters. Come on.
I'm out here, man.
That's awesome.
Closing them rings.
Awesome,
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
The
motivation,
on
baby.
On the Apple Watch, bro.
I don't have an Apple Watch, man.
Okay.
My wife does. I don't.
When you do activities throughout the day, your Apple Watch calculates how many steps you've done, how much you've been standing up, and it's got a
exercise.
Amount. Yeah, it's got an amount that it thinks you should do each day, and so
did 8.2 miles. Three of those.
So when you close all your rings, you can
are jogging miles.
Accomplished.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well,
killing it.
Do you have one?
I don't. Well, I own an Apple Watch. I don't wear it.
Why?
My wife wears it. It's one of the
That's fair.
It's one of the first or second models of Apple Watch. It's not a new one or anything like that.
I see.
Yeah. So I don't know. I really like wearing watches, but sometimes my wrist gets irritated by the band or whatever rubbing on the bone there in my wrist, and it just bugs the crap out of me. So I go through phases of wearing watches.
I'm like a major watch slut. I love collecting watches. I just don't have a Fitbit or an Apple Watch or anything like that. All mine are. And that makes sense, man, because those watches that you collect, they're crafted for, specific artistic reasons. An Apple Watch or Fitbit, it's a damn computer. There's nothing fancy about it. Sure, you can get a fancy band, but that's not Patek Philippe, whatever you be spending your money. Yep.
Actually, mine looks like a G-Shock.
But yeah, my first 5 days of the year have been not terrible. I did have a couple of super aggressive dogs that I dealt with, and I later found out that the dog's own owners are the ones that called them in a stray, which quite frankly pissed me off. One, because both of these dogs were two very big Mastiff type dogs, probably both pushing 90 or 100 pounds. So they were very large. And I wouldn't say that they were aggressive, but they were very terrified and showing their fear through aggression. And so I almost got bit a few times. Thankfully, I didn't. But I did almost get bitten a few times. And one of the police officers that I had to call out to help me almost got bitten a couple of times, almost tased one of the dogs. And we had to sedate one of the dogs to get it out of my vehicle. If that's any sense of how that dog was acting. So when I later found out that the dog's own owners called them in a stray for whatever reason, I still haven't figured that out yet. It made me very angry because I got put in danger. One of the officers got put in danger, and a whole lot of stress got put on these dogs for no reason, really. So other than that, though, my first 5 days have been pretty great.
I had to do a cat hoarder on the 3rd. It was like my first day back. The 3rd was a Friday, and it was the only day I had to work that week. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go in. Call volume's going to be pretty low because of the holidays. I'm just going to coast through this day right into the weekend. Like 30 minutes before my shift is over, dispatch hops on. I'm like, yeah, I need you to go to this address. Just a welfare check on some lady who's keeping cats in the garage. I'm like, all right, not a big deal. Go out there, make sure the cats are okay. I peek in the garage, had like the I guess decorative like windows in the garage door. So before I even knock on the entry door, I'm peeking in the garage real quick. I'm just like, oh fuck. Before I even knocked on the door, I'm already radioing for another unit to come. I'm like, yeah, bring carriers. Like, it was that freaking bad already. So numbers wise, it wasn't that bad. It was only 25 cats. And obviously we've all dealt with way more cats than that, but all in a garage, and holy crap, was it nasty in there. That was a gross one. So that's how my New Year's has been at work.
So are you guys prosecuting her, or you guys just removed the animals?
Yeah, so owner was there, little verbal judo. I was able to convince her that surrendering them to us was the best option. So I don't have to hold them as court holds or evidence or anything like that. I can go get them evaluated, vet care, and rehomed. But yeah, I'll submit a report on her for the neglect for unsanitary conditions, and then failure to provide vet care on a few of them, because quite a few of them had like your standard like upper respiratory issues that you're going to get normally in the hoarder situations. So yeah, I'll charge her, and then due to the amount of animals in Michigan, it makes it a felony. So
nice.
It's a pretty straightforward case, but
yeah.
You know, I didn't start the year crazy like that, but I did end the year. The last call, and maybe this will be a good thing to go by. My very last call for 2019 was a pretty nice call. Actually, it was a bite, but what happened was the dog owner called on himself after his dog bit a toddler, which is very nice to have because the compliance is there. Normally the other way around, when the dog bites a kid, they're hiding, they're running away from you, they don't want to deal with you. It's like a big old chaos. But this one was really nice. It was actually, I went there, he was the one that called, cited the guy, he was cool with everything. And I'm like, bro, that was my last call for 2019, and it ended smooth like butter, player.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Right? That's awesome.
Super awesome. Cool. Well, let me do some updates really quickly, and then we'll get into today's show. So, like I said, welcome to the Humane Roundup, or episode 19. So that's exciting. We're
a podcast that takes you into the demanding yet rewarding lives. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. We're episode 19, so that's exciting. We're holding steady and doing our thing. I wanted to shout out really quickly to Tim from New Zealand. He is a investigator, from what I was able to gather there in New Zealand. Used to be an ACO, but he listens to our show and had some really nice things to say. So shout out Tim. I'm going to try to get him on the show. The next announcement that I have is that we did some thinking and some discussing, and we've decided that the Humane Roundup is now going to focus solely on animal welfare professionals, providing you guys resources and tips and recommendations, all things for us in the animal welfare profession. If we do have any listeners that are not in the animal welfare profession, you can continue to listen. It's still going to be interesting things, but myself and Officer Ettinger are going to be starting a brand new podcast that we've decided to name Humane Humans. Hey guys, it's Officer Hildy here. You may know me from the Humane Roundup podcast. Well, we've got a new podcast heading your way. It is called Humane Humans, and myself and Officer Ettinger are bringing you this new podcast.
Hey, everyone. We're super excited to bring this podcast to you. Thanks for listening. If you've listened to the Humane Roundup, you have something new to listen to, and all our new listeners, we're excited to have you. This is a podcast designed to help people better understand animal shelters, animal control officers, and the animal welfare industry.
So keep an eye out for that. We will announce it on our Humane Roundup social medias, but that podcast is going to focus on the public and just kind of giving you guys all the ins and outs of how animal shelters and animal control work, both independently and together as well. So keep an eye out for that. We've got tons and tons of new things that we're going to be incorporating into the show. And one of those things is going to be a social media minute. And it's probably going to be much longer than a minute, but that's what we're going to call it. And so basically what we are asking of you guys is, as you guys are maybe out on calls or different things like that, where you can take some photos or video, or if you have questions, whatever it is, if you just throw a hashtag Humane Roundup on it, we're going to be keeping an eye on that hashtag and picking out some interesting things. And your content might be featured here on the show. So hashtag Humane Roundup. And the final announcement that I have is that we have launched on our Facebook page a Facebook group, the Humane Roundup group on Facebook.
What about the app? Are we not talking about that? You say like it's in the works or something?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. But then don't let the PAWmaster hear you. Before they know, like, what's up, guys? We got the very first app coming out, the first application for your Apple and Android devices. Don't forget where you guys get it, and check out the yellow, thin, gray, orange line.
It comes with a shotgun and a rifle.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Please leave this in the show. Please leave this in the show. Oh,
shout out PAWmaster 597.
Like I was saying, we have launched a Facebook group that is off of our Facebook page. So it's the Humane Roundup group on Facebook. There we're going to be allowing you guys to, 1, interact with each other, 2, interact with us on a more personal level, and 3, we're going to use that as kind of like a home for all of the questions and things that you guys might have, or things that you might want us to discuss on the show. So make sure you join that group. There's going to be lots of good things on there. And I did lie. There are 2 other announcements really quickly. One, I got some feedback that some people are wanting to maybe ask us some questions, but they don't want to be identified because they don't want any backlash from either their community or their employer, which is totally fine. So what I have done is on our Facebook, on our website, humaneroundup.com, I have added a link on there basically where you can click that link and anonymously send us questions or any information so that you are not identified for us to potentially talk about on the show. So that is on our website on the homepage. You can't miss it, humaneroundup.com. And the last and final announcement for real is that we are working on an app, a mobile app for the show, and it's just going to give us one more place to make our own, to communicate with you guys. You guys can communicate with us, communicate with each other. All of our news and episode information, all of that stuff will be there on the app. So we're going to be releasing that shortly.
And can I back up to the anonymous questions and such? People might think like, hey, well, if I have a question, but it's, they're going to figure out it's me because the question is so, I guess, focused or something like that. The likelihood of that happening is going to be slim to none. We have a lot of people listening to the show, and there's so many ACOs throughout the country that I don't think anyone has to worry of somebody finding out that they asked the question. So the more engagement, the better. We want people to really, be involved and talk about as much as they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said in our last episode, that is my New Year's resolution for you guys, our listeners, is to be more engaged with us. We are here for you guys. This podcast is for you guys, and we can only make it better if you guys communicate with us. So
we can't do it all by ourselves.
Get it, Whitney.
Get it. You got a new mic. That's what plays into his voice. He can hear himself now, so he's really like, wow, I'm a sexy mother effer.
Cool.
I won't do that again, guys. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it.
Meanwhile, I still have my little headphones that came with my iPhone. I'm hating.
But you still sound wonderful. All right. So with all of that out of the way, one of the new things that we wanted to add to the show is to just kind of let you guys get to know us on a more personal level. So we're going to start that off by featuring one of us host on the show on each episode over the next couple of weeks. I know you guys aren't here with us right now and able to ask questions, but if there's a question that you have for one of us that you don't hear get answered on the episode, there's many options out there for you guys to get in contact with us. So shoot them over and we'll either respond back to you on social media or maybe talk about it on the next episode or following episode. So
this segment here is called Do You Know Him? By Joe the ACO. So because we are starting a new year, I think it would be a good idea to start getting to know each other a little bit better. When I say start to get to know each other a little bit better, I want the people, the listeners, to actually engage a little bit more by understanding us a little better and our background. Because let's be real, how many of you guys woke up one day and say, hey, Mom, I want to be an animal control officer?
Has that ever been said?
Exactly, right? But now we're doing this job, and I enjoy my job, and I'm sure you guys do. So today, guys, ladies and gentlemen, dogs and cats, do you know him? We're going to interview Hildy because he's the one that started the podcast. Hildy, you're the man. What motivated you to start this podcast?
I wanted to do something different that no other animal control, animal shelter, anyone out there was doing to try to bring light to our profession, what it is that we do. And my ultimate goal was to try to get rid of the negative stigma that surrounds our profession, our titles, animal control officers, because you guys all know, and everyone listening knows, that everyone out in the public thinks that we enjoy killing things and enjoy taking people's animals away and ruining people's day, and that is not the case at all. And so that was kind of my motivation to start this podcast, to kind of bring to light what it is that we actually do, instead of what people either think that we do or make up that we do. And that's one of the things that I heard from someone say about euthanasia numbers, is that a lot of places don't want to post that information for whatever reason. And this person said that if you don't post it, someone out there would be happy to make it up for you. So that was kind of my motivation to bring to light what it is that we actually do, so we can stop letting people in the public make up whatever they think it is that we do. And
so be honest with me. Did you ever think that this podcast was going to go this far? I mean, we're on our 19th episode. Did you ever think that it was going to get this far? Do you think we were just going to start and just fall off?
You know, I didn't think we were going to start and fall off, but I definitely didn't know what the hell I was doing when I started this. And so I wasn't really sure which direction it was going to go and how it was going to go and how successful we were going to be. But I did know that I wanted to try it and give it my all and see what happens.
What made you pick the people you picked for the podcast? And just so the people know, when he started off, he reached out to me, Kyle, Ocho, and we had a guy named John. Do you know him? Just know him? And Dan wasn't in the picture yet, but what made you pick those people in general?
So I, like all the rest of us, probably am a member in a lot of groups on Facebook. And I think I found out about you, Joe, the ACO.
That's right.
I was seeing your merchandise, and actually, I think the first thing I saw from you, which I didn't really realize that it was your video, but I at some point figured it out. But you did a really awesome video,
About the Mustangs.
Yeah, about the Mustang.
Yeah, that video's
and
sweet.
It was fucking awesome. And so I first saw that, and then I started seeing Joe the ACO stuff and saw that you were making apparel for animal control officers, and I hadn't seen anything like that before. I hadn't seen any products or any programs or anything specific to animal control officers. So I noticed that about you. Kyle, I don't remember how I came across Kyle, but I started watching some of his videos and I was like, this guy is awesome. And I think it was
back when he was small time, right? He was like 1 subscriber.
Yeah.
Probably.
No,
That's probably true.
No, it was your skit videos that I first got into.
That's how it started, man. That's how I need to get back into those.
Yeah, I really enjoyed them.
Baloney to the eyeballs, bro. Well, that shit was funny.
Yeah, and I think some of the first ones that I watched are things that animal control officers hate. I don't remember if that was the exact title, but I think that was one of the first videos, and then I kind of went wild and started watching a bunch of other ones. And then Dan, I was seeing him out in the streets playing with the kids, like meeting people, handing out these Matchbox animal control trucks, which the trucks just by themselves are pretty awesome. But the fact that he seemed to have a plethora of them and he was handing them out, he was posting the stories behind the reasons why he was giving these trucks out, and the conversations that he maybe had with these kids or these people prior to educating them about what we actually do versus what they thought he was going to do with a specific animal. And he kind of turned it into a good and educating experience. So,
but by the way, I really didn't think you were going to be able to get across Dan. Like, I'm like, yeah, good luck trying to get that guy, because that guy was like, I saw a video of Dan like on a TV show. So I'm like, fuck, I saw Dan, like, dude, who the fuck is this guy? This guy is like doing all kinds of stuff on social media. He's on TV. I'm like, there's no way you're going to be able to reach out to him.
And I even saw videos of Dan like on the news, and like, he was everywhere. Like, he was a famous person to me.
Just keeping it humane, man.
and so look at him, he's right here.
Yeah. And then Ocho, I had met Ocho before in person. I worked with Ocho, and I knew that he was a good dude and had a lot of experience and things like that. So with all of that said, I noticed that all of you were doing things out of the norm other than just showing up at work, treating this as a job and going home at the end of the day. You guys were doing things to try to reach more people, to promote our profession, all of those good things. So that's why I picked you guys. And then I did a posting on Facebook when I knew that we were going to do this, to try to get one more co-host to join us. And so I just put a message out there saying, hey, who would be interested in doing something like this? And
hey, Hildy here, just John.
Yeah. And so I got a few people that said, yeah, that sounds like something cool. I don't remember exactly what drew me to John, but I ended up picking John, and
we needed that third Mexican. That's what it was.
Yeah, cool. Equal opportunity.
So I don't know. John was a good dude.
So he is. He's a good guy. And we all came a long way from when we first started.
He still is a good guy. He's not. Dead.
He didn't die or anything like that.
The record. Well, you guys know what I mean. He's a good guy. So Hildy. So where are you from, man? Like we come together in this podcast, but I don't really know much about your background, man. Like I don't really know like your roots, like where you coming from, like from your childhood. Like
you're like from Kansas or something, aren't you?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Kansas.
Were you the only black guy in Kansas?
No, there are actually quite a few of us in Kansas.
Quite a few of us.
I grew up in a little town called Atchison, the home of Amelia Earhart. So those are my stomping grounds.
She is dead.
What is
she is dead.
She's not, though. She's actually a reporter for 9 News in Denver. No relationship to
I thought you were going to run some like conspiracy thing. Like, oh man, the Germans got her.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Hildy. So obviously you work for animal control. So are you a cat person or a dog person?
I would say that I'm more of a dog person.
I was going to say, I saw you as a cat person, dude. I thought you were just... Normally people that are very, like, good with technology, that love cats.
That's a nice way of him thinking you were gay.
Probably.
What the fuck?
Dude, a lot of people...
Don't lie, Jody ACL.
A lot of people think that, but yeah.
That you have cats or that you're gay?
That I'm gay, but...
No, dude.
That's not a thing.
No.
Hey, this ain't only do you know him. This is the when keeping it real goes wrong segment.
But no, for years and years and years, I've always considered myself a dog person. And and this year I have adopted, or not this year because we're 2020. In 2019, I adopted 2 cats in 2019. And they are my first cats that I've ever had. Even as a child, we never had cats. So they are pretty awesome and just as entertaining as any dog I've ever met. So I answered that I'm a dog person to not be difficult, but I think at this point I'm a both animal kind of person.
I've been thinking about getting a cat, and at this time we can't have a cat where I live. However, we can foster animals, and they're like, I just want a cat so it can reflect my mood, because I just want to push something off of the counter and break it. And so having a cat that can just be there in my house and just give me that look like you're a dickhead. I'm like, yep, all right, that's exactly why I want a cat.
Okay, Hildy. So my last question for you, man, and this is a funny thing because this happened to me when I was in high school, and this kind of broke the ice between people and strangers that we didn't know, but it was something really funny. But at the same time, I learned something from this, and I learned there's 2 different kinds of people out there, and there's folders and crunchers. So when you go to the bathroom and you're gonna wipe your ass, do you fold or do you crunch?
That's such a great question.
I think I'm a cruncher.
A cruncher?
Yeah.
Like pre-wipe.
Yeah, pre-wipe. I think I'm a cruncher.
You're a cruncher.
Yeah.
Well, let's just go around.
Is that a Kansas thing?
This one then. What about?
I don't know. I think I just like grab it, and I feel like if it's a crunch, like there's more
protection. Like there's a bigger layer between you and the stuff you're wiping.
Well, that, and also like I feel like if you have like a perfect nice fold, you have to like get up in there to get it all. But if it's a crunch, you could just shove it in there, and like something made it up there to like get what you're trying to get.
Bro, but here's the thing with crunches though. Sometimes when you crunch, you might swipe a finger.
That's true.
Anyways. So
does that mean you're a folder, Joe?
That was who, me?
Yeah.
You know what? I
am. I'll admit
depends
that.
on the day, bro. Like if we're running low on toilet paper, I'm gonna fold.
You're running low. No, you got to take the 2-ply, turn it into 1-ply.
Man, I have used the roll
Guys,
after it's all gone.
It's 2020. If you ain't using them wet wipes yet.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That I use wet wipes most of the time.
Get on them wet wipes, son.
Yeah.
We've all had kids. Well, not all of us. The ones with kids, man, y'all know.
Yeah. I just feel more clean if I use a wet wipe.
Fresh.
Versus toilet paper.
Like crisp. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
I think we've lost so many listeners at this point.
They're all agreeing with us. They love us.
Hey, it's Officer Hildy here, and I wanted to tell you about Anchor FM. We use Anchor for the Humane Roundup podcast for a few reasons. Let me explain. Anchor is free. They've got tons of tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your computer or smartphone. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Also, everything you need to make a podcast is here in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And that's ANCHOR.FM.
All right, let's move on to our next topic from Officer Paw Patrol.
What the
All right, so this week we're going to do something a little bit different for the news segment. As opposed to me just bringing a story, what I want to do is kind of open up a roundtable discussion a little bit. It's a new year, it's a new decade. Without a doubt, we have had some incredible animal-related stories that have been in the news, whether it was in the last year or the last decade. I just kind of want us to all go around and say what we think was like the most memorable or whatever story had the most impact on you that was animal control related, or at least animal related, from the last year, from the last decade.
I'll start. Yeah. So for me, I think this story sticks out to me. One, because I used to work for this agency, and two, because I had a little background knowledge on it. But after probably 4 or more years of work in El Dorado County, they were able to remove mostly dogs, but over 200 animals from one property from these two ladies who I think originally stated they were performing some dog food test or whatever. And so they had like 150, if I'm not mistaken, Boston Terriers. They had some horses, some other farm animals, including one horse that had like a weird prosthetic leg thing that they duct taped onto this horse. And it was just an absolute nightmare. And like I said, they had been working on this case for about 4 years. Finally, this year, they were able to get those animals away from those ladies. They're both currently being held in jail while this trial is playing out. They've been denied bail, so they cannot bail themselves out. And also, one of the great things about it too is that they had a veterinarian that, for whatever reason, was kind of backing them up and allowing them to commit these heinous crimes against these animals. And he is also being held accountable. His license is potentially on the line. He's potentially going to jail also. So kudos to them for finally getting that worked out and holding a veterinarian accountable as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I had a dog fighting case that we did. It was a couple of years ago now, but we ended up finding out through our investigation that the dog fighters actually had a vet on their payroll, and we were able to prosecute the vet also. So you don't hear about it too often, but there are definitely crooked vets out there for sure.
Oh yeah.
Joe, what is yours? What's the most impactful story, animal control or animal related from last year, last decade?
Last year, last decade. Man, can I skip real quick so I can think about it? Cause
sure, I know Daniel's got a good one.
I don't though. No, I'm kidding. I
was so excited for this segment, and you guys are just destroying it.
Well, it's probably not in the realm of what you were thinking, Kyle, but I think last year when California decided to jump on the bandwagon and be the third state to ban most
legalize
animals.
marijuana.
Man, they've been legalized weed for years, son. But when they decided to ban animals from the circus, they're the third state to ban most animals from circuses, and then they also banned fur. So by 2023, no fur products can be basically sold legitimately in California. That's huge.
Yeah, and as of 5 days ago, the circus thing took effect, so they can only use, if I'm not mistaken, dogs, cats, and horses in circuses here in California.
What about like the circuses that go across state lines? Like, what if they came in from Nevada into California? Is that legal or no?
They can't bring their other animals unless they're dogs, cats, or horses.
Wow, that's cool. Joe, what do you got?
You know what? I don't really have one like that's crazy. I mean, the most I can tell you is like I hate pet shops, and one of the things that happen here in California is now if you're gonna run a pet shop, you have to get your dogs from a shelter, from a rescue, and
not just dogs, cats, and rabbits.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that I had this year, and it was quite a challenge because it was this shop at the mall, and they kept selling these dogs for a ridiculous amount of money. If like they were called rescues, and they were selling them for like, oh man, like $3,000, and they were purebred dogs. And we kept getting calls from multiple agencies from all over because the rescue was in our city that we worked in, and turns out that these people didn't have their 501c3, and they applied for it, but they didn't have it. And we were able to shut them down completely. And it was one of the most, like, I mean, when you mess with somebody's money like that, the hate and the anger they have inside when they're talking to you, man, it's just so intense. And they called the lawyer. They were asking me all these questions. And I said, hey, we're writing the law right now. We're writing the citation. We're writing exactly what it is. It's on the citation, right? And one of the most intimidating things to me is speaking law to a lawyer, especially when it's so new, because it just took effect of 2019. So it was such a new law, and we enforced it in the beginning of the year. Actually, we're coming up on a year anniversary since this happened. And dude, we hit him hard with that, and they knew that we were on the right and they were in the wrong, and the next day they couldn't sell anything. So for a whole week they had to stay open because they still had a contract with the mall. We shut them down within the month. They stopped selling. So I think that was one of the greatest accomplishments that we were able to do. And for me, I think it was a great experience because, I mean, I hate those pet shops, man. I don't know about how people feel about those, but I think they're just a money scam. People don't really care. They're not rescues. People just working the system. But I think the fact that we were able to shut that one down because we constantly kept getting calls, and every time we got there for a welfare check, the dog was gone, nowhere to be found. So we hit that one along with other stores in the area. So that was pretty cool.
Awesome. I think for mine, and I'm going to go kind of in the realm that Joe and you, Hildy, did, where talking more like personal cases. A couple of years ago, the same dogfighting case that I just referenced, that was a huge bust. I'm not going to say national coverage, but it had regional media attention. It did turn into a federal case because we crossed state lines, and we ended up getting warrants issued for like I believe 13 or possibly 14 different individuals across 2 states. And then my department and a neighboring department, we ended up seizing 53 fighting dogs total.
That's crazy.
It was huge. And if a lot of people, they don't necessarily realize if they're not in the animal control world, how hard it is to investigate dogfighting. It's incredibly hard. We can go to a house and be like, yep, that's a fighting dog, but it's really hard to find concrete evidence to get search warrants and let alone get arrest warrants on these people. But what we found out is if you can get that first search warrant, it's going to open up a can of worms if it's a good search warrant and you can get like one piece of evidence, because then all of a sudden you got pedigrees and you've got sales receipts. So now you know who this person bought their dogs from. Then you go get a search warrant on their house because all you need is the probable cause to get the search warrant. And boom, now you go find dogfighting paraphernalia there, and pedigrees will lead you in so many different directions, and it's wild. So now every single time we have a dogfighting investigation, we're never just going after one person. It starts with one, and then it turns into 10. So that was probably my department's biggest, I guess, success over the last couple of years, and I'd have to go with that one. On a bigger scale, just for like animal welfare, I don't know, man. It's tough because there were so many of them out there. I think that a lot of people forget how impactful hurricanes and natural disasters are on animals. We were just talking off the air about what's going on in Australia right now, whether it's Hurricane Harvey, I want to say Katrina, but that was not this decade. I think it was in Katrina where over 100 animals lost their lives, and people don't think about that. But there's ACOs out there and there's rescue workers out there that are out there saving these animals. And I wish Ocho was here to touch on it because he goes and does a lot of this rescue stuff. But I think all in all, those are some things that have been impactful, but people don't talk about. So those would be mine.
I am going to use this opportunity, and I don't know if you watched it yet, Kyle, but on Netflix,
The don't fuck with cats.
Don't fuck with cats.
I haven't watched it yet.
With cats.
We're not going to spoil. Meow, meow. We're not going to have any spoils, but if you have not, do yourself a favor, go on Netflix. If you have Netflix, if you don't have Netflix, borrow someone's login and watch Do Not Fuck with Cats. I will say that it may be upsetting to some people to watch this. It doesn't show anything too disturbing, but just to know what is happening can be upsetting to some people. But those of you that are out in the animal welfare professional, I'll tell you, after watching it, it kind of reignited my fire to go to work, do the best that I can do for these animals because of people.
And I think the moral of that too is there's plenty of times we get a call from a reporting party and we're like, yeah, okay. That's bullshit. And in this instance, they were dead on. I mean, they did their homework. It was very impressive. I wish we could have body move in on the show.
You know what? I wish they would have had like at least some animal control action there though, because I was surprised after all this happened. I mean, animal control wasn't even involved, but animal was just a small portion of this whole documentary. But that's how it starts.
Well, and the one thing that I will say, I wouldn't consider it a spoiler alert, but the investigation that 2 members of the public did, not 2 members, but 2 main people kind of leading the investigation and a number of other people helping them out, I think did a better investigation than some officers that I know.
100%.
So it's also very inspiring to watch that, see what people that have no formal training in law enforcement or doing investigations or anything like that can do with just a little smidge of information. And it, for me anyways, made me want to do a better job at work. Not that I wasn't already trying to do my best, but we've all had those days where we're like, I don't give a fuck today. Like, I just want to come in here, get done, go home, and try it again tomorrow. But that was also very inspiring to me that some people that didn't know what the hell they were doing really were able to find out a ton of information. So
if you haven't watched it, don't feel bad if you and Kyle haven't seen the documentary after we told him like 2 weeks ago to watch it.
Yeah.
So just go watch it.
I don't watch it much Netflix.
Hey, you just
if you did a YouTube video on that though, you could probably get body moving on the podcast.
Oh yeah, that would just raise your bar.
But if you did a YouTube video on that, I guarantee you it will be your next Brookhouse video. And get you 50,000.
That's a big statement. That's a big statement to make.
I promise you,
dude. It's big.
That's how powerful this Netflix documentary is.
You're snoozing, Kyle.
I promise you, it will get you another 50,000 followers.
I'm about to step into the YouTube game and just do it for you.
I'm about to go do it right now. Get me started.
Like,
no, seriously, it is.
I try not to like hype something up like that because so many times people will say, "Oh, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch this," and I go and watch it. It's not my cup of tea, and I'm like, well, I'm a little disappointed. Like they like hype this up, and I'm not the person to do that. But literally, it's 1 hour episodes. There's only 3 episodes, so it's a mini.
Can't stop.
Yeah, it's a mini series. I could not stop watching. I stayed in front of the TV for 3 hours watching this documentary.
And Kyle, it started off at work. One of my coworkers started talking about the cat part. Like I had to turn it off. Then I heard someone else talking about it. Then I heard Hildy talk about it. And then I'm like, shit, I gotta watch it. So when you Google "don't fuck with cats" and you make a video, and with that hashtag, whatever you use, that your video is gonna pop up. And you have an animal control talking about it. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and it's still fresh. It is. It's only been on Netflix for like 2 or 3 weeks, so
yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people don't know about it yet.
I'll start watching it tomorrow. When I get out of work tomorrow, I'll start watching it.
And you won't stop.
You won't stop. Make sure
well, that's good. If it's 3 hours, I can knock it out.
Get your popcorn ready.
Make sure you have 3 hours.
Take some notes.
Oh yeah, take some notes for your video.
Yeah.
Okay, got
All
it.
right.
Since you're old fashioned.
Got it.
All right, moving on.
This is the Humane Roundup.
Do you guys do any quarantine on Dog vs. Dogs?
No.
None at all?
Nope.
No.
So that's just
only,
me, huh?
Only if someone gets bit.
Only in Michigan.
Only in states from like the 1912s.
Pure Michigan.
So how we do it, obviously any person that gets bitten, doesn't matter if the animal's up to date on rabies or not, it's 10-day quarantine, right? For Dog vs. Dogs, we'll just stick with Dog vs. Dogs. If either dog, offending dog or victim dog, has any proof of a prior rabies, like it can be a rabies vaccine from 4 fucking years ago, that dog doesn't need to be quarantined. You're good to go. But if there is no proof whatsoever, you can't show me any documentation that the dog's ever had a rabies vaccine, we'll do a 10-day quarantine on it for Dog vs. Dogs also.
That actually makes sense. Now that you explain it, it actually makes sense that a dog that attacked another dog can't provide me any proof that it's ever had a rabies vaccine, that it could potentially have rabies. So that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And like I said, like it can be a 5-year-old vaccine, or it doesn't matter. As long as you can show me some sort of proof that it had one at one time, we don't need to quarantine it. Downside to this, you get a complainant calling you that's a victim, right? Their dog was just attacked. And I've had this happen quite often where they can't show me any proof of rabies. Now I'm quarantining a victim dog.
Yeah. Random quarantine question for you guys. What do you guys do with dogs at apartments that have maybe bitten someone?
Quarantine it to the apartment.
Yeah.
Okay. I only ask that because we are not allowed to let people quarantine their animals at apartments.
Let me ask you a question, Hildy. In the state of California, there's a state law saying that you have to have a fence to own a dog?
No.
Because if there was, then people in apartments shouldn't have dogs.
Correct.
So we just quarantine the dog in the apartment. That's rare that you guys can't. I mean, weird that you guys can't quarantine apartments.
The justification that I was provided is that the purpose of the rabies quarantine is isolation of that animal from other people other than its owners or people that it normally lives with, and isolation from animals other than the other animals that it normally lives with. And by virtue of someone living in an apartment, they don't have a yard to let the dog into to go to the bathroom. They have to take the dog outside and walk it somewhere to let it go to the bathroom in an area where members of the public may be with their animals. So they are not allowed to quarantine their dogs at the apartment.
That makes sense, like a policy, I guess.
Well, the thing that I do is typically advise them to get a basket muzzle for that dog. So because you want to limit exposure, right? And the only way
Yeah.
that rabies is going to be transmitted is through that channel of the mouth, I guess.
Yeah.
And by getting a basket muzzle, they can get on an elevator in a condo, and the dog can't bite somebody unless you stick your finger through the hole in the muzzle, which, I mean, I guess that could happen. Oh, your dog's so cute.
Yeah.
Well, then you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But
that dog
we
has
got
a
a job,
muzzle
baby.
on.
Yeah.
That dog has a muzzle on. Let's stick my finger in it.
Yeah. So I'm okay with it only because more often than not, these animals that live at apartments, in order to bite someone, at some point possibly got loose or escaped the apartment. So the owner's already proven that they cannot keep their dog contained. So that's the part of me that is okay with it. I did, however, quarantine a dog at home recently, and it lived in an apartment as a 4-month-old Chihuahua. Not bit, but it's a puppy. It's got sharp teeth. Was playing with this guy's mom. Mom already had a burn on her arm. Puppy sliced it open with his tooth while they were playing. So it wasn't like the dog was running loose and got in a fight with someone's dog and someone got bit or just went and attacked someone. So it wasn't loose. So that was number one. That made me okay with it. Number two, it did have a rabies vaccine. They hadn't completed all of the other vaccines yet, like the parvo, distemper, bordetella, et cetera, So I felt it was in that dog's best interest not to come to the shelter where it could potentially contract all of those things at the shelter. So I quarantined it at home at the apartment. Yeah. So, but yeah, I was just curious about that. So, because that was a rule that I had some issues with, but the more I thought about it, I was like, depending on the situation, which more often than not, it's like the dog got in a fight with someone or it got out of the front door or whatever. So they've already proven that they cannot keep the dog contained 100%. So
yeah, but I mean, you can say that on like 99% of the bites.
True. That's true.
I actually removed the dog, a German Shepherd, from an apartment because it started off with one person living there with a kid. And then, like, more people started showing up to the apartment, like, oh, we live here too. And I'm like, holy shit. So too many people were living there, and they were too close to the stairs. So I'm like, fuck that. So I ended up taking the dog.
Have any of you ever just taken a dog on a quarantine because you can, but you use it to buy yourself time in the investigation, whether it's for the bite itself or if you have a dangerous dog or even a cruelty investigation or something like that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got to use the tools we're given. It's same thing. Like, I think we talked about it previously where I'm at, all I need to seize a dog is for it to not have a license. Same thing. Hey, if that's all I've got right now for a legal reason to take the dog, but I want to for a different reason, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've done it.
And same thing in my city, in our ordinance, it says that an animal can be impounded for any violation of our ordinances.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly how mine's worded.
Yeah, which your dog doesn't have a license. Technically, I'm allowed to take it. In most situations, I'm not going to because that will be a shitstorm that I'm not going to be able to talk myself out of. But if it comes down to, like, I'm potentially going to try to deem your dog dangerous, what have you, yeah, that's a good... I can
actually seize a dog that is licensed, but the license isn't on the collar. I can seize a dog for that.
Yeah.
Damn, Michigan.
I don't think ours says that they have to be wearing it.
Ours says that your dog at all times must wear a Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development approved tag, meaning the license, affixed to a collar. If it is not affixed to the collar, I can take it.
Snatching dogs for not having no license on their tags.
And we don't do it a lot, but it's great to have that tool. That's why I always say if you're an officer, you better know your ordinance front to back. You better know it.
And you know what, Kyle? Like coming from me, because where I used to work at, we covered 6 different cities, and trying to learn all those city ordinance. I mean, you got to be out of your mind to actually, because we'll be in that city for 2 months, and then we'll be switching over to the next city. So
that's why it's good to be county. Gotta be county, man. We just got one ordinance.
That's
the
what
umbrella.
I'm saying. Unless you've been there for some time, then you start learning these ordinances. But now that like I work for one city, it's like, oh man, it's just easier because I'll remember those ordinances like the back of my hand. Especially after writing citations.
All right, well, let's wrap it up. Before we go, I did want to really quickly talk about a question that we did receive on the Humane Roundup Facebook group, and it was from a groomer in Maine who she says that she regularly sees dogs that come in severely matted, like the types of people that only get their dogs groomed once a year. And she was wondering if, as a dog groomer, that is something that she should be reporting to animal control. And the advice that I gave her is that animal control wants to say, yes, report it. But kind of thinking at it in a investigative type stance, if you will, I suggested maybe educating that person about how to prevent matting, what effects matting has on a dog, because some people think a mat is just a hair, the hair is matted and nothing else, but as all of us know, it can create sores and wounds and all sorts of other things, and it is painful for the animal. So I did suggest doing some education because you take your dog to the groomer and then magically animal control showing up at your house doing a welfare check, or animal control is there when you show up to pick up your dog, etc. Like, they're going to know who called one. They're going to never take their dog to that groomer again.
And you know what? Sorry to cut you off, but I used to work in a grooming salon, and now I work for animal control, so I can see exactly where she's going with this.
Oh yeah, what's your opinion on this?
One is like, yeah, when these dogs come in and they're severely matted, and you trying to trim that hair. First of all, the dog hasn't been used to grooming, so it's a pain in the ass to try to groom these dogs. The other thing is, as you continue to cut that hair, the tighter it gets to the skin, the more sores you start to see. So it's been to the point, basically, when you trim off all this hair, it all sticks in one piece. Like, you see the layout of the dog. That's how bad it is. And now that I think about it, man, that right there is enough to get you a case. And we, in our city, we could actually cite people for not grooming their dogs. We could cite them for that.
Yeah.
So I've got a question just from like a defense attorney standpoint, and I'm not saying this is my stance. I'm just to play devil's advocate here.
Before you do that, can I back up a little bit? Her actual question
No, you can't.
Her actual question was that she's always been told that there's no point in reporting it to animal control, because the fact that they are at the dog groomer trying to get it taken care of means that they're not being neglected, or they're like putting an effort into correcting the issue. So she's asking if that is true and whether or not she should report it or not.
Well, it's still cruelty if there's some severe damage after the fact. Because I have done some dogs where after it's just horrible. I mean, the skin is all stressed out. There's sore skin. It's all red and irritated. The damage is already done to the dog. So yeah, you got the dog groomed, which is great, but there's still damages to your dog that cost your dog to have really bad freaking skin problems, and even their ass is all matted up. That this dog shit was getting stuck to the fur. So I mean, if you're looking at it like, in that way, you can probably even still, damn, who left the building?
The groomer. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Shush. Someone's like, fuck this. Like, I'm out. So yeah, man. I mean, I guess, yeah, you're right. If you're getting taken care of in a way, you are fixing the problem. But what's left behind, I mean, you still have a dog that was suffering at one point and still suffered injuries.
Great insight, Joe. I mean, you were right there. I actually groomed my dog today. That shit is hard. I cut him twice. Don't laugh, man.
No, it's hard.
It's not. It wasn't bad.
I'm laughing because it reminded me of something that happened just a couple weeks ago.
But so I understand like why. I guess it's difficult, and so hats off to all the groomers out there doing a good job. Yeah. I think you should report it just so we have an idea of what's going on. I'd rather know that this dog was neglected, and then I can approach it. Maybe I do a follow up just randomly in a couple months or something, just to make sure that the dog's not being mad at first left matted again.
Yeah. What's your defense attorney question, Kyle?
Yeah.
Completely forgot because you cut me off.
Sorry about it.
Completely forgot. It's all good.
What were you going to ask, if it's a law that they have to get their dog groomed? Or
No, it was going to go somewhere in the realm of the question that she said, where if you're trying to get it taken care of, at what point is it too late to where it's still neglect, but like you're at the groomer? You know what I mean? It's kind of like getting back to that original question, because I see a defense attorney, they're going to argue that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was bad, but they were at the groomer. You don't take your dog to the vet when it's healthy. You take it to the vet when it's sick. And I'm not saying that's correct either, but those are the things defense attorneys say.
Right.
So I'm going to throw this out there. If you took a dog to the vet with an embedded collar, what are you going to do?
What am I going to do?
Yeah. You going to charge?
Oh, I thought you meant like about the embedded collar. I'm like, that's the vet's job, dude. Sorry. It's 1:00 in the morning here. Okay. No, on that. Yeah. From an officer standpoint, I get it. Yeah. But I always like to look at my investigations, especially like when I'm typing a report, is how is this going to get picked apart? And I think when you do that, it makes you a better investigator too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, like, if you're a groomer and the damage is there after grooming the dog, and there's still some very severe injuries to the dog, I think you still need to report it, because animal control still needs to make sure that this dog gets vet care. Because they could go back home with those injuries and it's going to recover, but that animal's still suffering. Like, dude, a mat, like I think Hildy was just about to describe what a mat is. It basically, from not brushing your dog before baiting them, and all the oils from the skin and everything just get build up in time, and it just becomes this freaking ball of hair. Yeah. And what it does is, from all different angles, it gets bigger and bigger, and it gets tighter on the skin. So what it's doing underneath there is stretching the skin to the point where it's painful for this dog to move. And animals have a high tolerance for pain, so eventually they'll get used to it. So for you, the human, the dog looks fine, but at a certain point, the dog is suffering, and it keeps stretching even more and further. And then don't even talk about like when it's matted around the tail, around the ass, around the, down there, it gets pretty bad. Then they can't pee, they can't poop, and it just gets stuck on there and just gets matted even more. So it really becomes a big issue underneath there. We just can't see it. But after you groom the dog, you can definitely see some bad injuries if it was really bad.
The other thing I would say too, if you're a groomer and you're wondering what to do, obviously you're going to groom the dog. Hold on to all the matted fur that you shave off and you trim off. Hold on to it, put it in a bag, because we'll collect it as evidence. We can weigh it too. We'll weigh it against the size of the dog.
And another cool thing, if you keep it sealed, and especially if it's matted with feces and urine, you can open that bag in the courtroom. Let them smell it. I'm not joking. Let them smell it.
I don't know if a prosecutor would want to do that, but yeah.
They have. Yeah, they definitely have. And that's the thing, is like when the jury smells that, they're just like,
ooh, there's another dog in there. So it's just crazy, man. Like it can go both ways, but I can see her perspective, because it's like, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to, because that is their job. They could get in trouble, especially if they're working for a private groomer. They're running a private business, and then they can get fired for that. I used to work for PetSmart, so they were very strict on us doing any of that. If we had an issue, we would have to talk to a supervisor. The supervisor then will make the judgment, and then we'll call the CEO of the company, and then it will go that route. But for the most part, I mean, there were some really bad dogs that would come in. So yeah, you're mixing business with feelings, but I mean, what's more important, your job or the dog? Obviously the dog.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. We are way past our time and we need to get Officer Paw Patrol in bed. But
Yeah.
like I said, we do have the new Humane Roundup Facebook group. Please join that. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you are not already following us, please leave us some reviews on iTunes or wherever you're listening if you're able to leave a review.
Hey, one more thing I think we left out. Make sure you guys follow us on our social media platforms, like you said, and make sure you guys leave a review on this podcast, because if you guys give us ratings and give us a positive review, you guys are really helping out our podcast to continue to grow, and you're helping us more than you ever know.
Even negative reviews. Constructive criticism is a good thing. So I stare in the face of adversity and I knock it down with my smile.
I love that. And if you guys haven't checked out our merch, go ahead and check out our merch as well, because any support we can get, the more we can help you guys out even more.
Good night, everybody.
Adios.
Adios, papi. Adios, papi.
Good night, Enrique.